Hey everybody, it's Casual Boops coming at you with another video, and today we're going to be covering the brand new ShPTK-TVP, the PTK-TVP, whatever. Yeah, PTK sounds good. The PTK, the brand new Czech Tank Destroyer Tier 8 Premium, that is the subject of the upcoming Chapter 4 of Battle Pass. It's basically a marathon. This is a new way of doing the marathons. The previous ones that I'm sure you're all familiar with if you've played the game for any amount of time. There were 10 stages over 10 days. This is going to be 40 battle pass stages, right? Over the course of 10 days, you'll have it. It starts on May 12th, so you'll have 10 full days. Technically goes till May 23rd on the very, very early morning, but you won't have that whole day. So don't plan 11 days, plan on 10 days. And it's just like a normal battle pass like chapter or whatever. You'll have to select chapter 4, and that's when you can accrue, you can start playing the game, earning battle pass points with your tanks, and then you get 40 levels, which is a lot. I will say that is a lot. So I don't know that this is going to be any less effort than a typical marathon, but it's a little more like obvious. It's not like before. The previous marathons would be exponentially more effort as you got closer. Like the difference between 1 and 2 is really easy, but then stage 9 and 10 were really, really hard. So these should all be the same. So you have a lot easier way of telling how much progress you've made. And also, if you've been watching my stuff, you've seen like a couple of weeks or a couple of videos ago, I recommended when we found out about this, if you have tier 6 tanks or low tier tanks that are about to be finished, right? Like you can see in my account here for the spinning tank, if my face isn't in the way, it's got 18 out of 400 points. Well, if you get 400, or in the case of a tier 6, it's 100 points, you get a bonus of, I don't know how many points, 15 or so. So if you get a bunch of those stacked up, ready to go, marathon drops, then you just finish those tier 6s off, and then boom, you got a whole bunch of points right away with almost no effort. If you've prepped for this, like I told you to, then this could be really, really easy. And I think the tank is definitely worth doing. I think this is definitely worth your time. I'll get into the tank stats in here in a little bit, but I really do. I think it's pretty strong. It's not broken. It's maybe a shade on the overpowered side, maybe a little bit. I think they probably could have toned it down and it still would have been balanced. So it's a little bit on that side of things, but it's not stupidly overpowered or anything like that. And it is a little bit tougher to use, so not everyone's going to have a great time. It does require you to use your brain. So with that being said, we'll get into the stats now. Okay, so we're going to get into the stats now, and I want to just, the really quick comparison to this is the Kampfpanzer 07R8, which is a tier 8 German medium tank that's been in the game for a while, right? Like maybe 6 or 8 months. It's fairly new, but it's been around. You've probably seen these. This was a previous marathon tank and so on. And it plays fairly similarly, right? Except for a few key ways, right? So they have similar kind of low-ish alpha for a tank. I mean, obviously the PTK is a tank destroyer, and the the 07 is a medium tank, but they kind of both have this kind of, I don't know, they can play like the PTK has the way of playing like a kind of a pocket medium because it has a full turret, and the turret and the hull traverse are not slow, right? A lot of like the Charioteer that has a full turret, but it turns really slow and makes it hard to kind of get in close. This doesn't have that problem, so you can really play like a medium tank, but also you have really good things about it for a tank destroyer, but I'll get into it. Anyways, it just sort of felt like a sort of weird version of a Kampfpanzer. So the big comparison here, the penetration is way better, like 270 standard penetration on premium or on standard rounds with almost 3000 base DPM is pretty crazy. 250 alpha is not a lot. This is the thing, like the tank is a pew pew gun. It's got a really accurate gun. It doesn't need to aim in really far, or like the gun is really well behaved. You got DPM, but you don't have alpha damage, right? So you're not going to just be knocking off 800 damage in a shot. People are going to have a chance to react to you. You shoot them once, they can pull back, right? So it's a little bit harder to, like you'll see in the games that I played, you kind of have to be all over the place to really get the most out of this thing. So good players are going to be able to leverage that, and bad players that don't know what they're doing are going to explode because there's no armor. One thing I do want to point out is that the standard rounds are AP rounds and not APCR rounds. And you might be thinking, oh, what is the difference? So a lot of people will talk about the difference between AP rounds and APCR rounds by using really interesting words like normalization and stuff. And it's really kind of ambiguous as to like, what does that mean to me specifically? So I took the liberty of taking this really great example and showing you visually what the difference is. So this right here is the penetration, likelihood of penetration of the front of a defender from two identical guns with two identical penetrations, except one is the Centurion 5.1, which has, I think, 232 or something like that, 226 maybe base penetration on AP rounds, and the Prima Victoria, which has the same penetration but APCR rounds. And what that means is that on something that is more angly, it doesn't like angly stuff. APCR doesn't like angly stuff. And so you can see, even though they have the same penetration, the angly stuff falls off quite a bit worse. This is the nice, easy way to understand what normalization is and how it works. And why am I talking about this? Because the PTK has standard rounds with standard rounds that are AP rounds with 270 millimeters of pen. So that's really good penetration on an AP round, which means that you're even more likely to go in. It's not going to have a hissy fit when it hits something flat, something angled, and just bounce off for no reason. So the standard rounds are very good. The DPM is great. I will say that the premium rounds are also excellent. The premium rounds are heat rounds with 330 millimeters of pen, which is wowzer at tier 8. So like the penetration is ludicrous. And I will also say one of the things that's worth noting is the shell velocity on all the rounds is very bad, right? It's eight almost 900 here for this, and then the let me see, the premium heat velocity is 800, still very slow. Then it gets an HE round that's 900, somehow the same. Also worth noting, the HE round has 420 average damage and 100 millimeters of pen, so that's totally usable. You'll notice like a lot of like the RH or the Kampfpanzer has a really good HE round at 90 millimeters of pen, but this is more than that. Anyways, it's just that the HE rounds are going to be silly. So, and they do so much damage, you can just eat a Batchat or Barask in like no time flat, like 2 or 3 shells, and it's just gone. So be aware of that. If you're in a paper tank, especially when these things are first released, don't let it shoot you because you're going to get eaten by HE. That's the thing worth noting here. Also, the gun stats are really good. It feels really great. Like 0.29 base dispersion with soft stats like this. You can't mount a vertical stabilizer because it's a tank destroyer, and it's an open top tank destroyer, so you can't mount vents. But even with all of that, I didn't feel like the gun felt great. This did not feel like a lot of tank destroyers have dispersion values that are very big, right? Wargaming wants you to sit in a spot, and that's how you get a good, accurate gun. In this particular case, you don't need to sit in this spot because the gun's fairly well behaved anyway. So it definitely does play that pseudo medium role really well. The one of the drawbacks, there are a few drawbacks to the tank. One of them is the 6 degrees of gun depression. Like the Kampfpanzer has 9. A lot of other medium tanks like the Schwarzpanzer has 10. This only has 6. So you can work around that. That's true. Like 6 is not debilitating, but 6 is definitely going to make it a little bit tougher. You have to choose your positions a little more carefully. Forward speed of 55. The power to weight of being 21 with these good ground resistances. These are really good ground resistances. It felt fairly peppy, right? I ended up playing mine with a turbo, and we'll get into the equipment later. But I put a turbo on mine, and I really did notice it. And so even you get to 55, and if you put a turbo on, you get to your increased speed as well. So it's fairly mobile, right? Obviously not quite as mobile as your Kampfpanzer, but fairly speedy. It's not slow. Also, you're noticing here that the turret traverse and the tank traverse, obviously not as fast as the Kampfpanzer. That's meant to really get in there and circle strafe things. But if you compare it to something like I should have had this up before. You compare it to like a Charioteer, right? The Charioteer is a fully traversable turret, but the turret traverse is very slow, as evidenced by this. So the turret traverse is double that of the Charioteer, and the tank traverse is 5 degrees per second. What is, I don't know percentage wise, but it's substantially better. So it doesn't feel sluggish to turn, right? Like a lot of tank destroyers do. So that's nice. Another good thing about it. The armor is Zilcho. You are going to get penned by HE. You're going to get penned by Artie. No armor. I'll show you that later, I suppose. Let me see here. The camo is just okay. The view range is kind of not that great, 370, but you know, It's okay. It's doable. It's usable, right? Especially because you can't mount a V-stab and because you can't mount vents, it makes it a lot easier to start, like, once you take those things away, it's a lot easier to justify optics. So this is a thing. One thing I did want to bring up, and you might not see this a lot, like, the money-making potential of this is not that great, because the cost of the shells, right? So, like, I want to bring this up. So a Mutz and a PTK both have 250 average damage. They're both premium tanks. If you go down to their shell costs, the Schwarzpanzer, the Mutz, has a 300 credits cost for the shell, and the PTK costs almost triple that at almost 900. So why does that matter, Boops? It matters because, first of all, wow, look at that gold price. All right, they're definitely proud of this one. This feels pretty high, but like what this means is even if you pen every shot, let's say both of these tanks were in the same game and they both penned 10 shots, had a good game, 2,500 damage. Your Schwarzpanzer is going to make way more credits because they don't have to cost as much to themselves for the ammunition. And especially when you get into the premium rounds. Premium rounds for a Schwarzpanzer are 4,400. Premium rounds for the PTK are 4,800. So they are substantial. You definitely can eat through your credit earnings pretty freaking quick with this thing. So that's something. It's not the greatest credit earner. It is really fun. I enjoyed playing it, but it's not the best for credits. So that is those are the things I wanted to talk about, I guess. We'll get to the armor real quick here. The armor on it is trash. It's trash. It's very, very bad. Even if you're shooting yourself with the HE, right, you're going to see a lot of these things in the game once they're released. And, you know, obviously the frontal HE, you can get this mantlet all day. The lower plates, the sides, you're in all day. But, like, there's no armor here. You should not expect to bounce anything. So this is going to mean, like, because it's also a tank destroyer, that also means that tank destroyers get less hit points. So what that means is it's very, very unlikely that you will get into a firefight, a heads-up fight where you're shooting them and they're shooting you. You're probably going to lose because you do not have as good of as many hit points in your PTK as a medium tank would, even if you have better DPM. That's not a fight you want to get into. You don't have very many hit points. So you really have to play back. You need friends. You can't be at the front. You've got no armor and not very many hit points. So it's definitely hard to use. So okay, so now we'll get into the builds and the field mods and stuff. And before we get into that, I have one of these to give away. I'm pretty sure I have one of these to give away. So go ahead and in the comments tell me what your favorite Czech tank is, and then you'll be entered in, and you will not be able to be credited for the tank until after the marathon is over, because if they credit to you beforehand, it'll break the marathon and break the game and everything explodes and you divide by 0, and I don't know. But once you win, I will actually, you know what? That's not the thing. It's tell me your favorite, I don't know, make me laugh, say something funny. If it's tank related, that's great. The funniest thing, the thing that makes me laugh the hardest wins, and I'll announce the winner later on at some point. But yes, you will not be credited for the tank until after the marathon is over. I'll make another video telling you who won, but do that. Field mods, the tank destroyers all get this really, really overpowered reinforced suspension field mods. You should always pick that one. The parallax adjustment, always. This one, always. This one, I'm picking this one. So these are the field mods. What I did for my main setup was improved aiming, a rammer, and then a turbo. This is pretty much where I landed most of the time. And if you do this and you try hard like me and you run food, you end up with like 0.24 base dispersion with really good accuracy. Like, these gun stats are amazing. So I was able to see, you'll see this in some of the stats, or some of the gameplay that I'm about to show. I was able to thread some really, really filthy shots. Now, you also only hit for 250, so it's not like you really need to plug away at people before you can really chip them down. But this is what I would recommend. Start with this, right? I also had an alternate loadout that was more spotting oriented, and mine for that one, I think, was let me see, if you have a good crew and you got some I think what I ended up doing was low noise exhaust, and then optics, and then I think I still did a rammer. This is probably the other way to go, where you have, you know, you're trying to, like, maybe it's Prokhorovka, and you have, still not that great, to be honest. You probably need some view range skills. I mean, that's doable, right? The camo's not great and the view range isn't great because you've only got 370 base, but I don't know. I didn't use this one a whole lot, and in fact, one of the replays you'll see, I picked this accidentally. I didn't mean to, but you know, 0.26 dispersion is still pretty decent. So those are the two builds I would recommend. Obviously, purple is going to make everything better, but you can't mount vents and you can't mount a V-stab. And even if you could mount a V-stab, I don't even know that I would. You don't even really need it, honestly. It's just, the gun is so good. So that is it for the stats. We'll get into the replay. All right, so in this game, we're going to be watching me playing in the Sheriff account. On what is this, Karelia, and it's an all-tier 8 game. There's 1 artillery per match, per team, and you will notice, again, because I'm in the Sheriff account, I really had to play back. The first couple of games I played in this, I was too far forward, and it's the new tank, and everybody wants to shoot it, and if they kill me in the Sheriff account, they get 250 gold, so you really had to play more conservatively. And if you notice at the beginning of the game, I didn't mean to do it, but I'm only going 55 because I didn't pick the turbo and improved aiming and rammer setup. I accidentally picked the, you know, optics and low noise exhaust setup. So that's my mistake, and you'll see I really wish I would have had the better gun handling. And right about now, I'm realizing that this is not a place I want to be. The heavies haven't come to the right spot. There's nothing keeping those guys. They have the hill. They're going to poke this corner here really quick, and there we are. I know I'm going to get shot at, and so what I need to do is bait a shot from this Barask and have it to empty his clip. And there's one. He hits my track. That's fine. I know he's got one more, and so okay. So he's empty, and I know I need to leave because if I don't leave, I'm going to get evaporated by everybody coming. And there's an artillery and. Oh, there's the artillery shell coming too. It's time to leave this whole area. And you can see, even without a turbo, it's fairly mobile, right? It's like I'm doing 50 up this hill. Like I went in, like it gets around okay. But when I did shoot at the Barask, you notice how the shell velocity was so slow. It actually arced. You could see it arc in midair a little bit. But yeah, you can't be at the front. So right now I'm trying to think, okay, we don't really seem like we have a lot going on in the north of the map, so I'm going to flip around and see if they push the north side, then maybe I can get some free damage in, but I also don't want to be too close because the EBR and the enemy team, I know that guy's in my clan, Borsau, I know he knows what he's doing, so I'm going to stay back because I don't know, as soon as you're lit in one of these things, you're just going to explode. So I just want to get here and stay behind a bush and just see. Just gonna wait and see because they also haven't started pushing the 9-0 line yet, so there's nothing really to shoot at over there. And if they do, I can always flex. So our enemy EBR is spotted in the middle, and I'm trying to just feather a shot. But again, you can notice it is pretty tough to shoot the EBRs in this thing because like the shell velocity is so slow. Like it's not bad, but it certainly isn't good, especially in the age of EBRs. Like, you know. Before wheelie boys were in the game, 800, 900 shell velocity wasn't great, but it wasn't that big of a deal. Well, now that you might be asked to, you know, hit EBRs at 500 meters, having good shell velocity really makes a big difference. So I notice now that the heavies on their team are starting to push a little more, so we're going to flex back over this way, see if I can't put my DPM and my awesome gun to good use, and I've loaded some heat shells because why not? I'm anticipating fighting a VK and a Skoda. So here we go. I really wish I would have had the improved aiming, like to get that aiming circle a little tighter because things are just not going where I want. Like I'm trying to hit this guy in the turret face and oh my god. You can see like watch as my credits disappear. Like it just, granted these are very long shots. These are at the very, very edge of the aiming at the render circle, and I don't have the improved aiming, and I don't have the good equipment that I would like to have on this. I accidentally picked the wrong one. But you can see, like, oh my god, every single one of these whiffs is 5,000 credits almost. And so this is really a good time. Just get to sit here and crit this guy. But this is what you can do, you know, like, I even this little bit of juking that he's doing because of the shell velocity is making it really hard to actually pen. Because I can't even hit the darn thing. That one looked pretty good, but again, like, it's just, the gun is pretty solid, but this also happens. I just wanted to say, like, the reason I chose to include this replay is because sometimes, like the next I have two of them, the next replay, the gun is really, really well behaved, but you are also going to have games like this, where it just frickin' does not go in. And so there we go. Boy, we finally got one in the turret face. And so now our RNG has been satisfied. Like the RNG god has decided, oh, never mind. has decided that you know, TS5 frontal armor is overpowered, or is overrated, right? So we can just go ahead and put it in. And so now it's finally going, but like I wanted to show this because I wanted to make it clear that you will not always hit everything that you want in this tank, and that's just how it is, right? But you can see how quickly we are able to punish people pretty substantially. And even though that TS5, we're looking down at the TS5, so the lower plate is extra angled. If we had APCR rounds, we would probably have no chance of hitting that. Because we have AP rounds, it's okay. I rushed that shot, so that's why Borsau is still alive. But those are the kinds of things that, like, you know, it is really nice having the AP rounds versus the APCR. And even though the gun is really good, it's not always going to do what you want every time. Having said that, you know, we have clocked up a bunch. Like, these guys are just sitting here, and I've shot them twice. So it is nice. You get the DPM, and you get to you can really clock up some damage, right? It also doesn't have that much ammunition, right? You will like, I'm out of heat rounds because I threw them all at the face of that VK. Which is unfortunate, but it also kind of like needed to happen, right? I thought I needed that to pen. So I will say that I kind of wish it had more ammo, but you know, whatever. Trying to hit these shots, and oh, that one's unlucky, but I don't think anyone realizes this is a lot of people haven't seen this tank, so these guys don't know what it is and how it works and stuff. But man, just gonna keep throwing ammo down, and you can see, because I've been hitting or just shooting at these guys for so long, my actual ammo, like I have some standard rounds, but I don't have the capacity to do that much more damage in the game, period. So we're just gonna try to make sure that we get good shots with the remainder of our ammo here, and wait for it. That one goes in. Right? Somehow that one goes in. Of all these previous shots, that's the one that goes in. And I noticed the Škoda has pulled back, and the TS5 has taken a defensive position on the back corner. So I'm thinking, all right, now is the time. Their scout has died, the EBR has died, the Senlac has died. Our scouts have died. So, and we also have people in the the C3 area. So if I were to spot the hill, I'm sure there's tank destroyers on the hill. If I spot the hill, then everybody will have shots, and I'll be able to rack up a bunch of spotting damage, and I should be able to get under here pretty safe. So I'm going to go ahead and do this and drive into a rock. And once I stop driving into a rock, I'm going to try to play the scout role. Since I do have the optics and the low noise exhaust and stuff, I can kind of do this role pretty easily. We'll just see what we can see. Get up under here and try to stay safe and make sure that we can't see the GSOR yet. And we see another PTK. That's Fix It in Post. That's a Wargaming employee that just evaporated before your eyes. So everybody say hi. Hi, Fix It in Post. Hey, buddy. Bye. And I've loaded an HE round because I'm anticipating most of the things that are left in this game are squishy, right? And I like a GSOR, I can pen that. A bunch of Barasks and SU-130 PMs, I can pen those. There's a Barask, and I'm just going to aim the shot. I got 324 hit points. Oh my god. These HE rounds are just filthy. Like, that was a mid-roll. Like, it rolls for like 420 average damage. So the HE rounds are really, really good. And I'm going to get up here and see if I can't spot something else. We found a TS5 that I don't want to tango with. And so we're going to get back down and use these bushes. And I did get spotted. That's okay. I just want to stay safe so I don't get tagged from tank destroyers that may be at their base. There's a Barask that's spotted down there. I don't know what our charioteer thinks he's doing. Dying, right? But and I thought maybe this guy is distracting them, and then a Udez shows up. This is the point where I was like, okay, I probably should run away. And I made a big mistake because I got a little bloodlust in me. I was like, I can do it. I'm on full hit points. This will be totally fine. No, the answer is no. And again, that's 6 degrees of gun depression. I rushed the shot. I should not have done that. If I hadn't, I shouldn't even be here right now. And this just goes to show you how quickly the hit points go away. I went from full hit points to almost no hit points very quickly. So this is the end of my game. I should not have gone up to the top of that hill. That was really dumb. All right, so in this particular game, we're going to be watching me also playing on the sheriff account. We're going to again, it's a tier 8 and a tier 9 game. There's no artillery. We're playing on airfield, and I'm going to try to get up here. And you can see this time I did select the sniper kind of like it's got improved aiming and rammer and Got a purple turbo, so we're a lot more mobile, and the gun should be a lot more well behaved. I mean, it was good before, but like now it's extra tight. Like look at how small that aiming reticle is, even at 500 meters. So this is the reticle that this is the gaming, like this is what I was trying to get before. Now obviously we don't have the camo, and that will come into play a little bit later too. But this is really like what the gun feels like when it's maxed out. So I wanted to show this as well. I mean, obviously it's and unfortunately, like you said, I wasn't sure if they were shooting at me or somebody else, but yes, I did get shot, and then I did get lit after the fact, so I knew that they were shooting at me. So now it's time to not be in the line of fire, and Leopard PTA and I can kind of crouch behind this rock, and obviously whatever's up there, if that AP AMX-30 has enough view range or whatever, that he must be spotting me, or somebody else. Maybe the Striv is what shot us. Maybe he's on the beach or something like that with binoculars or something like that. It could be. But right now here I just like loaded some heat rounds because it's 330 pen, and I was like, let's just see. I mean, it's a hull down ML2, and you don't really mess with those normally. But I was just like, let's just see what it can do. Maybe one of these will pen, and you know, it doesn't. But I had to test, right? This is like the third game I ever played in the thing, so I wanted to just see what it was capable of. And you do notice, like I said, I think that must have hit like a viewport or something like that. But anyways, you do notice this slow shell velocity, right? Like I said as before, it's none of the shells are very fast. And so anyways, I can tell that like there's a bunch of tanks up here, and there's something going on in the middle here. And look at this, I've got to back up a little bit, make this work. I'm pretty sure that one hit, but I don't know. But at a certain point here, I decide like there are a bunch of tanks here, and that ML2 is able to just look straight at us. Oh, we can feather another shot on this star, maybe. So what I decide to try to do here pretty soon is flex over to where the base is, because I want to create another angle. If I'm not going to do that yet, so I'll shut up about it until it happens. But here I'm trying to like feather a shot, just trying to see what I can do, because I have a really well behaved gun. I'm just gonna like look and see, and maybe there's, oh, wait for it. Look at that. We love it. We love it. This is what this tank can do, right? This is what like a fully maxed out, you know, food and pink improved aiming and stuff. Those are the kinds of shots that that you can do. But also, you know, like you can see I missed the AMX-30 because the shell velocity made it land a little short. Like if this was a K91, it would have zipped right into the turret. It wouldn't have had the option of going short. So anyways, at this point, like I said, now I've determined that there's a bunch of tanks there, and this Panther and PTA are all there, so I want to make the ML2 turn his turret to either me or my other friends, because if he turns to me, then they can shoot him. If he turns to them, then I can shoot him. So I'm going to just try to create more angles, and you know, I have the mobility. It didn't take me very long to get here, so now we're just going to see what we can see, and I rushed that shot, but you see right now he's got to pick between one or the other, and I can thread these shots in over the hill, and that one didn't quite work out. But again, you reload in like, I think this thing is kitted for like 4 seconds or 4.5 seconds after it's all said and done. And if you got intuition, you can change shells in like 1 second. So it's really, really unforgiving to change ammo. And if you whiff one, you just try again. Of course, whiffing the heat rounds, of course, hurts because, you know, 4,800 credits, but down the drain for each time you click the button. But it's the nice thing about low alpha guns is that missing a shot isn't as big of a deal, right? If you're in a T30 and you whiff a shot, it sucks because you got to sit there and reload for 20 something seconds. But because of this reloads so quickly, it stings a lot less. So now we can just kind of, again, we're just kind of watching the middle here because there was some tanks. This heavy tank looked like the 703 would look like he was going to go over the top, and I want to try to, like, this ML2 is sitting perfectly still. I'm trying to like see if I can't get a shot on the side of his turret, because somebody at this point, he must have a block damage mission, because he's just sitting there just asking to get shot. And yeah, you're in an ML2, but like he doesn't seem to be shooting back a lot. He's just sitting there. So I take down the pillar. We wait for our shot again. But yeah, that's like, now I have the angle. I mean, I'll miss it anyways, but I have the angle on this ML2 because he can't look at both of us at the same time. So that's what I was hoping to have happen. That's why I came over here, so I could provide an angle, because if he pokes up and looks at me, then he can't be looking at my friends. So we're just gonna wait. Like the ML2 turret and the Kronbong turret They only really work when you're looking straight at somebody. So that's why I wanted to be over here so I could create those angles. And we're just going to try to, you know, scoot around. I mean, I'm just going to stick around in this little area here to try to be unpredictable and try to create some angles and not be in the same place for very long because, you know, I'm not moving a long ways, but just being able to move a little bit does create some options. Look at that. We loved it. This is what I'm talking about. This game was what made me decide that I liked the tank because, like, when you are kitted to hit the, you know, thread the needle and shoot these shots, it does work. And then if it doesn't, you get to try again in 4 seconds or 4.5 seconds or whatever. So I'm going to load a heat round for this ShPTK because I know the ShPTK has decent armor, but against 330 heat pen, the ShPTK doesn't really have any armor at all. So I'm just going to wait and see if I can get one of these shots. That one landed the back of the turret there. I had to. You notice how much I had to lead it though, because the shell velocity is again so slow. And I was thinking about going over and taking care of the SDRV, but then somebody else does it for me. And again, yeah. So I'm and then a Progetto pushes up the middle. So this is the part where I knew I needed to stay in this general vicinity because if people are pushing, then I can farm. This is the place I need to be to make the farming happen. But I'm trying to just get between these buildings, and I can't quite make it work. But here we go. Switch to the heat round in 1 second, and put another one into the side of this guy's turret. This is the thing. Like, you saw how quick that intuition change was, and now we're back to AP rounds. Like, it's almost instantaneous. So it's been a really, like, everything about the gun on this tank is very flexible, and you can see how quickly I can move the turret, and how quickly I can move the hull. So it feels like a TD medium hybrid, like a TDM, but also, like, I don't know. It's just comfy. It's comfy. But like I said, unfortunately, unlike newer tanks like the oh, there's a Lanson. I didn't even notice how he got there. Unlike newer tanks like the ShPTK-TVP, this does, like, there's a lot of carry potential here because the DPM is so crazy and the gun is so good. But at the same time, it's not so, but like the Skoda, all it asks of you is to punish, it punishes mistakes very heavily. That's what I'm stumbling over trying to say those words. And so I don't really think that that's really good for the game. The burst potential is just brokenly overpowered. This is a very good tank, but it also, the only way somebody's going to really get punished, now that was on me, I didn't lead the shot because, again, shell velocity. The only way somebody's really getting punished from this is if they sit there and they just take the DPM. So it gives somebody an opportunity to escape or make a play or do something different and not just, oops, well, you made one mistake, you get to, you know, take 900 now. And so I think it's better for the game, but a good player is going to be able to leverage those opportunities. And I'm not spotted, and I'm thinking that, yeah, the Lanson assumed that I would be in that same spot again, and I see the Char rushing my position, and he's probably got a full mag. I'm a 2-shot for him, so I need to get the heck out of here because he's just going to clip me out. So I was trying to fall back because I'm in a sheriff account. I know he's coming for the gold. This is what they're trying to do. This is the downside to playing in the sheriff account. So I'm trying to either bait him back into my friends so that, you know, he either spreads his clip out to them or they shoot him or whatever, because this is the downside to low alpha. He's almost 1200 hit points. I need to shoot him like 5 times. So obviously we'll make that happen. He's down one, I think. I thought I heard him shoot once, but you know, it is like, you notice the mobility here, like with the purple turbo, I was able to totally change the angle and surprise the crap out of that guy. He didn't have any idea where I was, and he's down 2 now because he shot 1 into our PTA. And this is what the tank is all about. Using your allies as a meat shield. And now the Char is down 3, and he's about to put his last one into me, and that's okay because now he's dead. So I was able to, I mean, you know, other people helped, but at the same time, because I could be the support tank and help my team, that tier 9 is dead. And that's really what the tank is best at. I see an Indian Panzer out in the middle of nowhere. I don't know what he's thinking. And I rushed the shot like a donkey, and this is the part I was dumb. I just sat there and let him aim. He was just sitting there aiming at me. I don't know why I sat there. Anyway, so the first game, the end plate there, we had ended up taking home almost 3,000 damage, 2 kills, and 1,400 assists, partially from exploding, fixed it in post. Ended up with 552 base XP because it was a loss. And you can see here at the end of the game, we did end up costing ourselves 60,000 credits. Again, because the ammo, we just emptied all of our heat rounds, and a lot of those didn't pen. I didn't have the loadout that had really good accuracy on the gun, so that was not helping at all, and all of my shots were really long. So this is an example, like, when the gun's not that well, sometimes it doesn't behave and your ammo is kind of expensive. This is the result. All right, for the second game, we ended up with 3,400 damage, 2 kills, and this one was an ace, probably just because of the win. And that ended up getting us 1,092 base XP. I have a feeling that the ace requirements are going to go up substantially once this thing gets released. But for now, the 1,092 base XP is an ace. Probably won't be for long, but it still counts, I guess. And again, you can see on this one, you know, we had a mission for 50,000, which is why we were able to turn a credit profit of 50,600. But without that mission, I would have broken even. I would have broken dead even. Now, I will say that you saw me experimenting to see what I could do with the heat rounds against the turret of the ML2. So I probably shot, you know, 5 or 6 rounds into him just to, you know, knowing that it wouldn't pen, just to see what it would do. So some of this is on me, but the point is, it doesn't take very much whiffing, and especially whiffing premium rounds, for you to not turn a great profit in this tank. So I think it's really good. I think it's really fun. I think it's maybe on the border of a bit too strong, but I don't think it's going to have a substantial game disruption or meta shift like the ShPTK-TVP because of the complete lack of armor. And I think you're going to see a lot of new players that don't really know what they're doing. They're going to run and they go la 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 la, and then they're going to explode. So if you do see one of these things on the battlefield, load HE and pen for days. So anyways, that is it for me. Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you on the next one. All right, thanks.